will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
The respondents nonetheless maintain that states may enforce Section 3 against candidates for federal office, but the text of the 14th Amendment on its face does not affirmatively delegate such a power to the states. The terms of the amendment speak only to enforcement by Congress, which enjoys power to enforce the amendment through legislation pursuant to Section 5. And then we go on to saying this, which confers powers only on the Congress. As a result, such as state enforcement might be argued to sweep more broadly than congressional enforcement could under our precedents. But the notion that the Constitution grants the states free reign than Congress to decide how Section 3 should be enforced with respect to federal offices is simply implausible. And it says the judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court is reversed. The mandate shall issue forthwith. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I have a great and wonderful day. And let me just tell you this. The liberal media is melting down. They are losing their ever-loving minds. They can't cope with the fact that the Supreme Court sided with Trump and will not remove him from the ballot. Now, there's a couple of things here that we're going to go over a few stuff because they're beginning a lot of things wrong. They're trying to insinuate that Trump is an insurrectionist, even though he was never charged to be an insurrectionist, and many other crazy things that they don't seem to understand or the law. And the Supreme Court does, and they're saying that the Supreme Court is bad. It's insane to me that these people are even remotely have their jobs or even have a thinking palace because they're idiots. Well, without further ado, my friends, let's jump into the liberal media absolutely losing their bloody minds.
Disappointment. I do believe that states should be able, under our Constitution, to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists. And ultimately, this decision leaves open the door for Congress to act to pass authorizing legislation. But we know that Congress is a nearly non-functioning body. So ultimately, it will be up to the American voters to save our democracy in November.
Well, lady, there was one thing that you were correct there. Yes, the Americans get to choose on when they get to who they want in as president. It's you Democrats, for some god apparent reason, that think that the voters shouldn't get a choice. You guys are just saying, oh, we're removing Trump off the ballot because he engaged in insurrection, which, by the way, he did not do, nor was he charged for doing insurrection. So you guys are labeling something onto him that he did not do. It's insane, really, because you guys are making fabrications, lies, and all this other stuff, and there'll be more actual evidence of what's going on here with the Trump situation, because you guys seem to be forgetting a very crucial video that you have left out consistently throughout your reports. And the fact that you guys are saying he committed insurrection and the Supreme Court is a bogus court and stuff like that, and he just, he's not allowed to, the voters are not allowed to choose, because you literally just said it, the voters are not are now able to choose, which means you didn't allow them to choose before, are allowed to choose their actual president now. So, good on, voters. You choose.
It looks like page 13 of this. It says, for the reasons given, responsibility for enforcing Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates rests with Congress and not the states.
Right.
The judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court therefore cannot stand. So they're saying essentially that Congress has to make this decision whether there are insurrectionists who need to be kept off of ballots. Is that essentially what they're saying here?
Essentially what they're saying is it's up to Congress to tell us how this works. So if Congress had, let's say 50 years ago, Congress had passed a law saying we're going to let the states do it, so long as they abide by due process, then what Colorado did would have been fine. But Congress has done essentially nothing in the 150 years since the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868. Now, I want to make sure people understand this. It's a very important feature of this decision. There is no substantive discussion in here by the Supreme Court of whether Donald Trump did or did not engage in insurrection.
Interesting.
There is no conversation about what the meaning of his words at the rally were, or what happened inside the Capitol, or any of Donald Trump's actions. That's not what the Supreme Court has done here. That's not what the Supreme Court typically does. This is a procedural, legalistic decision. And essentially, if I had to boil it down to one sentence, it would be, it's up to Congress, not the individual
They didn't
states.
want a big messy situation where all the states go here and there and that sort of thing.
The word I circled in this decision is, quote, patchwork. They said, we don't want a patchwork where one state's doing one thing and another state's doing another.
Because this issue has never came up in the first 150 years on exactly on what you guys are doing. Because, again, you're saying that he was charged with insurrection or what have you, or he did this insurrection, when that is not the case of what happened. He didn't go and do an insurrection. That was never claimed to be, or whatever. You guys put that label on him, and now you're angry because the Supreme Court removed the ability for you guys to illegally remove Donald Trump from the ballot because you guys are psychotic. So I don't know what you're getting at here. And again, I may believe coming in April is that Trump will also get another win in April, where he will say that he was not started an insurrection, because he never actually did start an insurrection. And there's a lot more things to this. Now, further on, we're going to get into the full meat of this more, with more of the media actually melting down and losing their ever-loving minds.
Aspects of this decision is that they waited until the day before Super Tuesday to drop it. It puts the wind in Donald Trump's sails. He's already said it's a win. We'll hear a lot more from him. Why do that in the 24 hours before Super Tuesday, in the media cycle around Super Tuesday? I would not have done that. Feels too political.
You could argue that there was a responsibility by the court to do that. Otherwise, those who may have voted for him Tuesday would be disenfranchised if indeed the ruling had not come in his favor, surely. Isn't there an argument there?
That is an argument for having released this decision last week or the week before. The timing of the Supreme Court is now almost as important here in the United States as the substance of the decisions. And of course, the place where this will really count, if they really believe that, they'll move fast on the immunity case, because Americans also want to know, did Donald Trump commit alleged crimes? And can we get that case to trial? Just as can the Supreme Court can move quickly here, will they move quickly there? Another very important question. But I would have done this last week.
Well, any of the Americans that have been following the media and have been following, just CNN, MSNBC, those people are also going to believe that he did create an insurrection, because that's all you guys have been saying and making lies about it. Just that's how, all the courts and all the lawyers that were going against Trump were lying about some of the things that he was doing. And, of course, if anybody saw the actual court cases, or back in 2020 when they tried to impeach him, the lawyers on Trump's side all came to what showed all the evidence that the Democrats really did try to place on him. And that's what the media did not show at all. They ignored all that content. And that's the reason why he wasn't impeached. And I don't think it's actually Congress's plan. I mean, it could be where they're trying to plan it ever so betterly. But again, you guys were removing the ability for the Americans to choose, and that's the biggest problem here. So you should be kept on the color about it. They should be let the Americans choose, and you guys are just making up things that are crazily and subjective. But again, more media meltdown.
That today is the day that the trial against Donald Trump for January 6th would have started, and instead we're talking about this Supreme Court opinion on the 14th Amendment, and we're not going to get to talk about that trial because the Supreme Court last week delayed it through at least April, the end of April. And so the Supreme Court will decide that case. I suspect very strongly that that case will be the inverse of this one, that it's a unanimous or close to unanimous loss for Donald Trump on the idea that he's absolutely immune. And assuming the Supreme Court can reach that decision quickly, and I sure hope they reach it as quickly as they reach this one, then the trial against Donald Trump for January 6th can proceed, and we can learn, the American public, with all the evidence splayed out in front of us, did Donald Trump commit insurrectionist acts on January 6th? That's the crucial question, and we, the American public, deserve to know the answer to that question and to hear all of the evidence before the election.
Yes, and the thing is that I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court is going to side with Donald Trump. Again, I'll be showing you guys a video here very, very shortly, short clip of Donald Trump saying not to go do things peacefully so that the far left can actually see something. But again, this is something that people need to start understanding here, is that the people are getting to choose, and any American that has been following up, has their wits about them, that are not following the far left media and stuff like that, knows that Donald Trump didn't create an insurrection, knows that there's actual video evidence proof out there, which I'm going to show you right now, that he did not create an insurrection. He said go peacefully and all this stuff, and patriotically, and you guys are trying to flip the script. You're trying to lie and say that's not what he said.
We'll soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
So there you have it there. You have things such as this that was going to show on what is happening in one time. So when I put that very first video there onto whatever, there is a video of Trump congratulating the Supreme Court and happy for it, but I'm not going to show that because it's kind of a little bit irrelevant. My point is that the first part of the video is showing exactly what the Liber Media is crying about him being an insurrectionist when that never actually happened. He didn't incite something because you guys are lying about everything as you usually do. Now we have more of the far left crying and mourning about this. It says the Supreme Court has betrayed democracy. Its members, including Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor, have proved themselves inept at reading comprehension, and collectively the court has shown itself to be corrupt and illegitimate. It must be dissolved. No, it shouldn't be, because it says, from the red-headed libertarian, dissolve the separation of powers to save democracy. Is this a parody account? Did you just say that 3 women aren't able to read? The party of women strikes again. Have you cried? Did you try crying more? Did you stop and think that maybe you're the one who's wrong? Yeah, imagine thinking that a deranged, aging lesbian communist like you interprets the Constitution more accurately than the 9 Supreme Court justices. Idiot. Exactly. And we have this from Viva Fry, which is going on to say that this is nothing short of a judicial humiliation. The Colorado Supreme Court is a disgrace. Any lawyer who promoted this idiotic theory is a disgrace. Maine Secretary of State is a disgrace. Total judicial destruction. And it goes on to say, the respondents nonetheless maintain that states may enforce Section 3 against candidates for federal office. But the text of the 14th Amendment on its face does not affirmatively delegate such a power to the states. The terms of the amendment speak only to enforcement by Congress, which enjoys power to enforce the amendment through legislation pursuant to Section 5. And then we go on to saying this, which confers powers only on the Congress. As a result, such as state enforcement might be argued to sweep more broadly than congressional enforcement could under our precedents. But the notion that the Constitution grants the states free reign than Congress to decide how Section 3 should be enforced with respect to federal offices is simply implausible. Exactly. So, again, you guys have no idea what you're talking about, and know what they're talking about. You are all idiots, and you think that you're in the right. And it says the judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court is reversed. The mandate shall issue forthwith. Yes, exactly. Because again, they are claiming things that are are actually just plain wrong. Just plain wrong, and they know, and we all know it. 2, they are doing something horribly illegally, and they're the ones actually starting the insurrection and creating a coup more than anything, because they are going against what is correct. You have no idea what you guys are talking about. You're all idiots, and you're trying to upsert our democracy, our republic, and everything because you guys are flat out evil. And that's just the plain truth about it. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted about what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted, because it's algorithmic disease, the social media.